Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Relationship Advice. Our first post is an update by Throwaway. My 33M wife 34F ex just died. He left a kid who isn't biologically either of ours. How do I talk to my wife about taking the kid in? Update. So after reading through as many comments as I could, I was even more nervous than ever about talking to my wife. I was also even more convinced that this was a conversation I needed to have sooner rather than later. I also tried to get more information about Levi's situation and why no one could take him from my wife, and according to Kara, Levi's mom emigrated from another country and doesn't have any family here. One of her ex's parents is in aged care, and the other is unwilling for some reason. As for the rest of his extended family, I don't know, and neither does she, but she did say that he's no contact with most of his family and has been disowned by a fair number of them. Someone may reach out in the future, but it seems unlikely. Last night, Charlotte was over at her friend's house for a sleepover, so Kara and I had dinner alone together. I started by bringing up how lonely I thought Charlotte was, and how glad I was that she was feeling well enough to go over to her friend's house. Kara agreed, and I basically got straight to the point by saying how I thought that she'd feel better if she could spend time with her brother, and asked if she might consider taking on Levi as a kinship foster. Kara looked thoughtful for a minute before tentatively agreeing. We're going to be taking steps to see about taking him in, and at the very least setting up visits so that the siblings can see each other. This is a huge weight off my shoulders, knowing that she doesn't resent a little kid for her relationship with his father, and that she was able to have a rational conversation regarding a topic related to her ex. The last time we had a conversation about him, I'd accidentally used a phrase that her ex used a lot during their fights and she got triggered by it. She ended up storming out and staying at a hotel for the night so that she could calm down. She's a lovely woman. I know it might not seem like that from my posts, but she really is. She had a really toxic and borderline abusive relationship, which almost resulted in her losing access to her daughter. So I hope that y'all don't think of her as a monster, but as a loving wife and mother with some trauma that she's trying her damnedest to work through with the support of her therapist and myself. Our next post is by Throwaway. My F23 husband M30 got insanely mad when he found my toy. This is genuinely so embarrassing, so it's a throwaway, obviously. A few days ago, I went out to the grocery store to grab something for dinner for my husband, and when I got home, he was very standoff-ish. I didn't know why, but when I asked, he said, "Nothing." Okay then. I made us dinner and we ate and he barely talked. Eventually I got tired of his short answers, and I opened my Kindle to read while I ate. He started to huff and puff, and I figured maybe it was something like about work. I carried on like normal because he clearly didn't want to talk. When we went to bed, I grabbed my Kindle again. This is when my husband snatched my Kindle out of my hand and threw it across the room. I was like, what the actual heck? This is when he revealed that he found my toy. It's not that big of a deal, I thought, and I surely wasn't hiding it from him. And that's what I said. He started to yell at me, accusing me of 1, being unsatisfied with him, untrue, 2, cheating on him, very untrue, 3, wanting to cheat on him, again, no, and then finally 4, thinking of withholding sex from him. I don't even get that one. I tried to explain that literally none of that's true and I wasn't trying to hide it from him. I literally haven't used it since I got it, actually. I was just curious because I'd never used one. He didn't want to hear me. He's been very mad at me. This can't be a normal interaction. Why did my husband react this way? How would you feel if your partner did this? Our next post is by Throwaway. My husband M29 gave me F26 an ultimatum. Stop people pleasing or we're getting a divorce. How do I even respond? This is my first time ever posting here and using Reddit, so please bear with me. My husband and I met 7 years ago at the same university, started dating a year after that, and have been married now for 2. Other than this one issue, we get along very well and are generally really happy and good with each other. I will admit that I do have people-pleasing issues. I'm not really sure why. I think I'm just overly nice. My husband and friends have told me I can be a doormat to people. I always apologize first. I don't tend to argue with people, and I have been known to go out of my way to do something not explicitly necessary. I know this about myself. My husband clearly knows this about me too, as I've always been this way. He's encouraged me to figure out why I'm this way, and one time a long time ago he yelled at a friend of mine who was taking advantage of me in that sense. but that's about it. I'm also a pediatric oncology nurse at a really large hospital in a central city in my area. As you can imagine, my job is pretty taxing, emotionally and physically. I recently got a new charge nurse, and she's not very nice. I complain to my husband often about it. Last night I was laying in bed doing like absolutely nothing. My husband comes into the room, so stressed and angry looking, and snaps at me. "You need to stop being such a freaking doormat or I have to leave." Seriously, OP, it's getting annoying. I was shocked and also confused since we hadn't been talking about anything like that. I asked him what he meant, and his tone did make me immediately tear up. My husband has never yelled at me like that before, blatantly rude and cursing at me. He rolled his eyes and told me, "Your job, your friends, this marriage, all you do is lay down and let people walk on you." I said I don't mean to do that, and I'm sorry, but he just stormed out of the room after that. He left to work so early this morning we didn't even have a chance to talk. He sent me a text this morning. All it said was, "I'm sorry, we're gonna talk tonight." Like, what does that even mean? I'm so distraught, I can't believe that he yelled at me like that. What am I even supposed to say now? I mean, going to therapy if that's what he really wants me to do, but I doubt I'm gonna change. I've always been this way. Is my marriage doomed then? Our next post is by Throwaway. I'm M33, thinking about calling off my wedding, which is 3 weeks from now, due to my fiance's F30 comments about bringing my son to live with me. I lived in America up until I was 15, and then my mom sent me to live with my dad in Guyana. I was originally supposed to live there up until I was 18, but I ended up coming back to New York when I was 24. During my time in Guyana, I had a son with an ex-girlfriend. I moved back to NY when he was 2, and his mom and I decided it'd be best for him to stay with her in Guyana. Better for him to know his culture and stay grounded. I have been back there many times to see him, and he's come to stay with me here as well. In the end, he was always supposed to come here to live with me. And this is where my fiancée comes in. We've been together for 2.5 years, and she has met my son. I've always been very vocal about the fact that he's going to come live with me. And this year is the year where he will permanently be moving here. He's going to come in the summer, and then start his first year of middle school. I started to notice her not being on board with the whole idea last year when I was looking for houses. I was thinking about moving somewhere nearby in Jersey due to a better school system, but my fiancée disagreed. There have been other pretty minimal things here and there since, but she's never outright said that he shouldn't come here, but has said things that have heavily implied it. However, each time I asked her to further explain, it would end with the fact that she wants him here. Well, our wedding is literally 3 Saturdays from now, and yesterday, she explicitly said the words that she does not want him to move in with us. We started arguing about something else that was pretty minimal, but it escalated to a bigger discussion about our future. That's when she said that she prefers if he remains with his mom. Her main reasonings were that she didn't want to fill a stepmom position with no mom present. She'd feel so odd with having him around pretty early on in our marriage, and she just feels like we should wait until he's older, or he not come at all and just comes for vacations. From day one, I have said that my son is going to live with me, even giving her a time frame. I always said that I want him here right before he starts middle school. I've said this for 2.5 years. If she felt like this the whole time, then why not say something earlier? Why wait until only weeks before our wedding? I'm genuinely thinking about calling it off, and I need advice on my options here. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.